The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Bracken Farms, Stonewall Stud, IRT, it's your horse and our passion, Australasian Wide Garrard's Horse and Hound, Rikiro Racing Stables, Lincoln Farms, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge Raceway, Ashburton Trotting Club, Addington Raceway and Harness Racing New Zealand. Hi everyone, welcome into this edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, we're into the month of February, Michael Guerin, which is New Zealand Bloodstock Sales Month, and inside a couple of weeks out from a rather important time of the year.
Yeah, hi Greg, big hi to everybody watching around the country and to all our friends in Australia. The other thing we have also is this new calendar, which means smack bang in the middle of February, we have a weekend with the Group 1 at Addington and of course Harness Millions Night at Alexandra Park, Greg. So this is the month where the new calendar starts to bite. It starts to mean something. It starts to feel really important. It's going to be a thrilling next couple of weeks. Some of those stars, some of them, we'll see at Alexandra Park on Thursday night. Disappointingly, Greg, some of the trotting ones we won't, and wrapped around all of that, it's Great Southern Star weekend and Hunter Cup weekend in Australia, so we have a lot to get through. Yeah,
we certainly do. A lot going on at the moment. Let's go back to Addington Raceway from Friday night. You talk about the Breeders' Stakes, less than a fortnight away. Here's the key lead up to it. 35th running of the Garrard's Premier Mares Championship. And in front, Better Talk Art to its outside, Bella Montana. We know she loves Addington Raceway. The eventual winner, Need You Now, ducking to the inside for John Dunn. We'll get Matthew Cross to bring them home and hear from the connections around the top 5 post-race.
All-American Lover flashing late. It's Need You Now from All-American Lover. Need You Now. Need You Now won the Group 2. Beat All-American Lover. Third, Bella Montana. Fourth, maybe Better Talk Art.
Well, we know she's a pro, but she had to be extra good tonight.
Yeah, really good, Greg. Didn't quite pan out the way I thought earlier. I thought I'd get a lot handier and sort of halfway across most of them, but she relaxed nice first to go and then got good cover. And as I said, because the one on the trail ducked, stopped and could duck down there, save a bit of ground. But like you say, she's done it on top and she's coming the back now, so she's got the whole game.
A couple of weeks to the Group 1, that should top her off nicely.
Yeah, it should, and a bit more distance should suit her too. Like she'll be massive here against Krug on Cup Day over that distance. So, and then the bigger fillies races earlier on. So she loves that distance. So hopefully we're right.
She just keeps stepping up.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. It's credit to her all summer. She's just hasn't let us down yet. You wish she had a stable full of them, but yeah, she's come through it great. We've got a nice strip on the fence, but really pleased the way she keeps coming right to the line.
Well, we knew she liked Addington. She just proved that.
Yeah, no, it was a terrific run. Yeah, she'd done a bit of work getting around there and sat outside them. And Zach thought he hadn't covered top of the straight, but she probably just come to the end of it. But she'd done a bit of work, so it was a really good run.
Going forward to the Group 1, now that we know she's back in form, that'll give you guys some confidence.
Yeah, exactly. We just need a draw now.
And that time, then up the track's not ideal.
No, it wasn't, Greg. It was always going to be tough from the draw over the distance. But look, she ran a great race, I thought. She was up the track for a long way. Probably just ran out that little bit of room in the last straight. They were getting a bit tired coming back to her and she was still going. So, look, she was good, but the run will do her good and I'm sure she'll be better in a fortnight for it.
Gee, she was brave.
Yeah, it was a massive run. I thought we'd probably done our chips a bit too much early, but yeah, to her credit, she stuck on really well.
Yeah. 2:21 overall, 55 mile rate, and she was still right there at the end. What do you do with her between now and the Group 1?
I won't have to do much after that, so no, we'll keep her ticking away, but it's the Group 1's been the plan the whole way through, so she should hopefully keep improving, and yeah, hopefully we get a nice draw and a bit of luck.
So great to get that insight from the connections just in behind Need You Now, and also, Michael, the fact that she's right in the zone for the Group 1 Friday week at Addington Raceway. We know she's a winner of the Jewel. She's already got that in her resume, but she's showing a lot more these days than just getting to the top end, and that's going to put her right in any race she's in.
Yeah, I think she's stronger, Greg, and I think the hard racing she's had, because she had a lot of hard racing, like she's raced Krug and the good open class horses as well as the mares. I think it's standing by her now. She's holding her sprint for a lot longer. She was good. All-American Lover was outstanding considering the Group 1 horses around her, like the horses who were first, third and fourth. have won a huge amount of Group 1s between them, and All American Lovers never competed at that level. So she was really good and could have won that race, could well win the Breeders next week. Bella Montana, that's more like her. She's a great chance if she can get to the marker pegs, Greg, in the Breeders. And Better Twist, we said on the show last week, you can't take 2.5 about Better Twist when she can't get to the marker pegs. Well, it's even worse, Greg, when she can't get to parked. She had no chance a long way from home. Enormously brave doing what she did. Better Talk Art was even good, but she was great being stuck wide, Greg. But, you know, she's going to need to be able to get to those marker pegs again next week to justify favouritism. The draw for next week, Gregory, is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think since the turn of the century, about 8 of the winners have won this race and led into the Breeders. And you're thinking about horses like Adore Me, so that's the sort of quality we're talking about there, and they get their chance, or the connections of Need You Now, the Woodlands team, and of course Robert and Jenna Dunn and John on the bike to do that Friday week. That was one of the group race features. The other was for the trotters, the Coca-Cola trot it was, and Muscle Mountain in the summer championship. The free-for-all got to the front, was simply too strong, sectionally couldn't really get beaten, banged a 28 seconds, second last quarter in. Post-race, we'll hear from Ben Hope to tell us how he felt fresh up from the Dominion.
And it is Muscle Mountain. Muscle Mountain down to the line. Midnight Dash flashes late for second. Third will be the Dominator. Fourth in was Majestic Chick from Bitter Muscle.
Well, he would have been barely blowing after that.
Yeah, that's right. He's pulled up very good. Obviously, it was a little bit of a trial for him, but in saying that, it probably worked out quite good. He's coming back off a hard run in the Dominion, so to start off the campaign with a race like that was perfect.
Look, he's rolled his way to the front and dominated at Group 3 level. We know he's a Group 1 type of horse, and there's so much ahead of him this season.
Yeah, definitely. He should be in for quite a big year. Obviously, there's a couple of very good horses he's got to line up against, but, he should be in for a pretty profitable year, I'd say. So, safely through this race, hopefully he's got some, big goals.
All right, 14th career win, 12th time at Addington Raceway, Michael. And off the back of that interview, Greg Hope intimated to me that Auckland might be off the radar, given that race is not on this week. I doubt he would have been in that anyway, but certainly the Lyell Creek next week. They're just going to stick close to home. When he's in front and rolling like that, I tell you what, he gets into a beautiful race Friday night at Addington Raceway, just off the 10 metres, so he can no doubt go back to back. But good to see him back in winning form.
He's a wonderful horse. Beautiful horse. If he was in the Great Southern Star this week, which is on Friday night at Melton, he'd be favourite and he would probably win it if he backed up and produced his best form. It's one of those weird conversations where he's so good and yet Sunday Sun is so incredibly good that all conversations start with, well, could he beat Sunday Sun? And he has, and he probably will again when he's able to get in front of him, Greg. So, look, he's got a huge future ahead of him. If he was mine, and it's really easy to spend other people's money, we spoke about it on the show last week, I would take him to Auckland next week. I would take him there because he's going to have to go up for the Anzac Cup and the Rowe Cup, and he's going to be a better horse having been there once before. Again, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe he trots beautifully right-handed. I don't know. But it's going to be hard to come up against Sunday Sun and Bolt for Brilliance fresh into an Anzac Cup type thing, Gregory. In saying that, maybe they can take him there for a lead-up race before we get to that serious stuff in April and May. But wonderful horse, Greg, and there's not a race I don't think he can't win in Australasia. But the conversation also comes up on where Sunday Sun's going to be against him and where Bolt for Brilliance is. So you sort of feel a little bit sorry, Greg, for him and Bolt for Brilliance that they're in the Sunday Sun era, but it's great for us.
Yeah, it certainly is. There were a couple of the features on the track, and the featured driving performance came from Corbin Newman, who got the business done not once but twice, which took him to his 50th career win. Let's get Matt Cross to bring him home in this and talk about the way things are going for him off the back of his 50th win.
Back the gap, it's Smithy's Terror, and Corbin Newman brings up the half-ton with Smithy's Terror. Smithy's Terror beats home Classy Dancer.
So he's a really good young driver. Started out the majority of his early stages of driving with Brendan Hill, Michael, but to pick up his 50th win at such short notice, he can drive them from the top end. He's clearly can win races from other spots as well, but he seems to be a really good judge of pace.
Yeah, and I think when you drive, for a big enough stable like the Dunn stable, people think, you're getting on horses who should just win. But he actually drives a lot of horses who pay big prices, Greg. He's often on horses who aren't by any means the first string from that stable. And it's not like when they send horses to Invercargill, he goes with them and gets 3 or 4 drives, or Manawa 2, 4 or 5 drives, which should just win. I think he's doing a really good job, and he handles himself well. He talks well, Greg, and while that's not everybody's cup of tea, it's crucially important for these young people in the industry, because if they can't express themselves, owners struggle to engage with them.
Yep, they do. Of course, the first race was High Flying Harry for the Brecon team and paid over $40. So there's a great example of him driving a second stringer and getting it home. And he drove that one beautifully, launching down the back straight. While we're on a roll with our younger people with Harness Racing New Zealand, as we try and do each and every week, time for a profile. This time it's Olivia Thornley, who just keeps on racking up the wins. Well, the last name of Thornley is pretty synonymous with harness racing. Was it always going to be part of your life?
Yeah, I was always going to be involved in horses in some regard. I rode horses earlier on, did pony club, and then I went through kids' carts, and I did all of high school and was going to go to uni, but the horses pulled me away and I just keep doing what I'm doing.
All right, half brothers, very successful Craig Thornley, of course, Chris Thornley, your brother Sam, your dad Robin has done a pretty good job as well and helps out Fred Fletcher, so pretty much ensconced in it, weren't you?
Yeah, well, it was always going to happen, and like my brother, he's really kicked off his career lately. He's done super, and like all the families involved, whether it's shoeing, training or driving, so it was always going to be a part of life.
How did it start out? Where did you go to first, and when did you get to the All-Stars?
Well, I did a couple of stints in school holidays, 2 weeks with Colin DeFilippi, and I did 2 weeks with Dean Taylor. Did quite a while with Dad and got my trials licence through him, and then one day at the trials we saw Mark and we went up and spoke to him, and then I've been there for 5 years ever since.
Let's talk about the driving side of things and how it started, because you kicked things off with a Way to Collect, I think it was, for your dad, and I think you won your first 3 races on that one.
Yeah, he was a super horse. I drove him to qualify at the trials. I drove him in my first race, and he was just a lovely horse and did everything for you, and I was so happy to get the wins on him and for Dad too.
Pretty special way to start your driving, winning for your dad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He's been doing it for so many years now. It was just really thrilling to get a win for him with a horse who's got off someone else so they couldn't get going, so just to get the rewards was great.
Liv, what's it like working in a barn full of superstars?
Oh, it's amazing. Like working for Mark and Nat and Hayden, you learn so much off of them because they've been there for a while, and the horses you get to work with, the quality that they are, it's just, you feel sitting behind them just feels amazing. And I've been lucky enough to look after some real special ones like Ultimate Sniper, and we never saw the best of him. He did win an Inter-Dominion, but there was still more to come with him.
You were pretty emotional that night. It meant quite a lot, didn't it?
It meant a lot. He'd had a hard career, and I was just so happy for him to win.
You had that was special at Alexandra Park, but you had, I would say, a career highlight, getting the win with Amazing Dream over the New Zealand Cup winner Copy there. Talk me through that experience.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was just so grateful for the owners, because they were new owners, Gordon Bantz and Mark Hanover. They'd never had a win with Dreamer yet, and just in the race to get the trip I had and to beat Copy, that was definitely a career highlight.
What about going forward? What would Olivia Thornley like to achieve in harness racing?
I'd love to achieve a Group 1, that's the main goal, but as long as I keep improving week in and week out, I'll be happy, and getting more drives is the main aim.
Thanks so much for your time, joining us on the box seat, and all the very best.
Thanks so much, Greg.
So very bubbly around the stables. Michael, Olivia's got to 22 wins. Of course, O'Neid Mickey, she won the last race last Friday night with a pretty positive sort of a drive. This is her getting to the front. Now he's 2 from 2, 1 at the Mott and now 1 at Addington Raceway. She's a driver with a future, and so's this horse.
Yeah, he is. I spoke to Mark Purdon last week about there always be Mickeys. He said, we've only had a couple of them, and they're pretty good. Obviously, the other one is being Franco Indy of the ones I've exposed so far. Olivia, like a lot of those younger trainers and drivers or junior drivers, Greg, who spend time around the big stables, they learn how to conduct themselves. You still need to have that in your nature. You still need to be a professional. But she's travelled with good horses and with outstanding people, and she's learnt to do things the right way. So, yep, she'll be an asset no matter where she ends up working eventually. But I can imagine the All-Stars don't want to let go of it anytime soon, Greg.
I have to concur there. Further south, the 75th running of the Ascot Park Hotel Invercargill Cup was last Saturday. Gee, it was a decent sort of a field and a cracking finish in the end. This was the home straight action, one change in front, Pembroke Playboy to its outside, and Alta Wise Guy ducking through on the inside, getting the business done in the 75th running of this excellent race, a driving finish, and a horse that's come a very long way, Michael, now has won, of course, the aged pace, won the Methven Green Mile, won the Omakau Free-for-All at Christmas time, and has now won an Invercargill Cup. If you'd said to followers of this horse in the north maybe 3 months ago that he would have achieved all of that and developed into the racehorse he is, they might have taken you away with the white coat blokes.
Well, you would have been surprised, Greg, that he suited to South Island racing more than North Island racing, because he was very speedy up here. It took him a long time to win his maiden race, and he was weak, and clearly he strengthened up. But I think all the travelling and the racing on the grass and all the things he's done racing on the big track at Addington has strengthened him up. We all know he's going to be an open class horse. You sort of doubt he's going to be an open class Cups 2 mile horse, but Greg, the way he keeps on improving, and he beat a true Cups horse there, albeit one who was very good, Pembroke Playboy, when second up. You would suggest he's going to be a factor in open class. Just where he fits into that whole racing pattern, Greg, I'm not quite sure. But he's a horse who, if he turns up in a Cambridge mile or a Taylor mile or something like that, with the right sort of run, he can win a big race this year.
Could he end up in a race like the race? Because we know he has gate speed.
Why not? Now, the update on the race, by the way, coming out from David Branch on Sunday, they have got 7 or 8 slots confirmed. It's commercially sensitive, so they don't want to confirm it all. 7 or 8 slots confirmed as sold. The race is going ahead. April 14th, it's going ahead. But they have pulled back for a week just to let some of the overseas people who want to know what horses are available, want to know whether they can actually come and enjoy the experience. They've just taken a week back to say, look, the government's going to make an announcement, and if it's good news, like we hope that people can home isolate, well then, yep, you can be here in the middle of April, Greg, and giving them a chance to base their bid around that. They're going to hold the race, and he's a perfect horse for it, Greg. Gate speed, marker pegs, Cambridge, lots of things he would love. So he would be in the mix very much so. And just, Greg, while I can't name the names, some big local owners have purchased a slot in the race, and some major international corporations, serious players, big time players, who will not only bring something to the race, they'll take the race out to the world. And if I'd had a wish list, Greg, for a couple of the people or organisations I would like to have been involved with the race, 2 of the most important organisations I could think of, I believe we'll have slots by the time we confirm those in about 10 days' time.
Yeah, looking forward to that information coming through. You mentioned Pembroke Playboy, really, really good there. And one change off the back of that Addington run when coming off a back mark and going around them was again excellent. So looking forward to him continue to progress in this grade. One that hadn't won in the grade for a wee while. In fact, it was about 15 or 16 starts ago. Won Apollo, won at this venue in the Southern Lights. This is his last New Zealand appearance as well. Spoke to Brent White about that. Look, he's been a real enigma. He's been a very, very talented horse, but often letting himself and the punters down. But once he rolled to the top here, Michael, he was too good for Peregrine, who's come a long way. Chinese Whisper charging into third. But I was really pleased to see for Whitey and the team, this horse get back into winning form. He's now heading to Australia. If they keep him trotting like this, he's going to be competitive in everything he lines up in over there.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's good enough to stay here, and he's good enough to race in every major trot this year, but he's not good enough to win almost any of them. He's not going to beat Sunday Sun any day soon. He's not going to beat Bolt for Brilliant, and he's not going to beat Muscle Mountain, Greg. And that's just those 3 without mentioning Oscar Bonavina and other horses, Temporales. So you say to yourself, do you want to have a horse to go to the races with and win your 2 or 3 races like that a year, or do you want to go to Australia and try and win the big races over there? We just have that top end depth, Greg. It's just so hard to retain these horses. I know we want to retain them, and I understand why people get annoyed when these horses go offshore, like Vacation Hill last week, but Vacation Hill's going to race for 300 grand this week, Greg. And in New Zealand, she would race for that sort of money, but she would have no chance of winning those races. And One Apollo is probably in a similar boat.
Yeah, look forward to seeing him progress. I think it's Trevor Mundy's. I think that's who it's going to in New South Wales. So, yeah, we'll see.
Far better place, Greg, in New South Wales. Good point. Victoria, tough trotting school. The trotters in New South Wales aren't very good at the moment. There's no Keystone Dell type horse there. If he can adapt, and adapting's quite tricky from an angle, if he can adapt, Gregory, he'll be winning free-for-alls there.
Good to know. Let's head to Cambridge from last Thursday, and one of our very best pacers was back in action. His name, South Coast Ard, and he found the front here, Michael. We didn't get there by much over a brave Kango. That's him ducking to the inside. His stablemate Typo and the Honey Queen in fourth, but he won, and he's now on a path to go head-to-head once again with Self Assured.
He is. It was one of those sort of on back at the races, what do I do? Blind to the inside, not sure he saw Kango, or not sure he was actually paying much attention, to be honest. It was just a lazy sort of effort, which is great to get out of the way, Greg. So I think Mango would be happy. Mango's first winning drive on the horse for a long time. Mango hadn't driven the horse since last April. So when you look at that and you look at Self Assured the week before at Alexandra Park, you would say Self Assured is more advanced in this campaign, but that can change very quickly, Greg. And I think barrier draws and who ends up in front is going to be crucial when they meet in the free-for-all on Saturday week on Harness Millions night. So they're going to have some good scraps, those two, over the next 3 or 4 months. At the moment, Greg, if you said everything's even, they end up in the same place, would you suggest Self Assured has an inch more speed on South Coast Ard?
I would say so, but you wouldn't want him on the markers in front of you, would you?
No.
Because he just
that sums it up.
Yep.
Yep. And hey, there's no certainly both of them will get to the markers, or either of them will get to the markers in any of those races heading up. But I also think he's probably a horse who will improve more with racing than Self Assured, who's a smaller, neater type of horse. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how that unfolds over the next 3 months.
Alexandra Park on Thursday night. We haven't actually got the fields at the moment, but we're going to preview what is the feature race. Understand it'll be a preferential barrier draw featuring a couple of horses that we've just been talking about, well, one in particular in Self Assured. Let's have a look at the video of Akuta, though, winning at the trials at the weekend. That's him in the Ian Dobson colours on the outside in the hands of Maurice McKendry. Michael Homan, 58-26.7, beating Raven Banner and Better Listen here. Love the way he's stretched out, and looking forward to seeing him at Alexandra Park.
Well, most crucially, obviously, this workout is right-handed. So that's the crucial part. Look, he's going the Alexandra Park way. He went to Alexandra Park the week before on the Friday and worked at Alexandra Park, and that's crucial heading into this week. Now, he's going to end up against the open class horses. He and Franco Indy and Self Assured, as best we can tell, that's what we think's going to happen with these fields, are going to be in the same race grid. Now, that's unfortunate. And it probably gives the connections of them, which is obviously the All-Stars, a chance to drive the 2 3-year-olds conservatively, because if a Self Assured type horse or something like that, Greg, comes along and serves it up to them, you doubt they're going to try and park them out. So I won't be placing too much stead on what they do this week, because they're up against a horse like this in Self Assured. So this is him a week and a half ago at Alexandra Park, and this is him running past Kango. So if you're thinking, replace Kango in this picture with Akuta, and you've got Self Assured outside him, you'd expect him to beat him, because he's a New Zealand Cup winner and an Auckland Cup winner against 3-year-olds. It's just one of those tricky situations, Greg, we find ourselves in. It's not uncommon for 3-year-olds to race open class horses over the years, and Akuta's probably good enough to do it. What it does raise, Gregory, is a very interesting situation. If Akuta comes out on Thursday night and performs well against Self Assured, or, Gregory, beats him, does Akuta look at going to the race? Because if he did, or Franco Indy, not putting Franco Indy either side, he's a wonderful horse, they get Barry at 1 around Cambridge for maybe $750,000 or $900,000, Greg, which is worth more than all the other races they'll race for in 2022 after the Harness Million put together, Greg. Thursday night's going to be very interesting in lots of ways.
Yeah, particularly if they both went into the race, they would draw the same marbles, 1 and 2 being 3-year-olds. So at the moment, in the Harness Million.
And Greg, that affects Amazing Dream, because they're telling me Amazing Dream might come for the race. Now, she's
So
guaranteed barrier 1. If there's no, Well, she's guaranteed barrier 1 if there's no 3-year-olds there.
Yeah.
So it gets very spicy all of a sudden. Things are just starting to percolate through the system now where it's starting to matter, Greg. It's not some thing we're thinking about. This is something that's going to happen, and it's going to happen in 2.5 months. So very quickly, some of these results are going to start to have impact.
Yep, they certainly are. So $1.40 in next week's Harness Million for a Cooter, and $2.90 Franco Indy out to $13 Franco Max. So if you think Indy can beat, and they're telling me at the All-Stars there might not be as much between a Cooter and Franco Indy as most people might think, then I'd be backing Indy this week rather than next, because I think things will change there in that market. Let's just leave Auckland Thursday night, really good program there, to one side, and go to Addington Raceway on Friday night. A couple of videos to have a look at. Here's the first of them. And this is a trial featuring 5 Wise Men. That's him back in 4th position, Michael, against the paces. Mikey Maguire's in front of him. Excellent run from him at the trials. They got home in 56.3, 28.7. Look at him finding the line. He's picked a really tough race to line up in against Muscle Mountain and Heavyweight Hero and the like, Fresh Up, Andover Love, Out of My Way, those types of horses. But nice to see him back at the trials and running home strongly. Whatever he does this week, you know he's going to improve.
He's in a similar situation to a Cooter, isn't he? You're not expecting him to beat Muscle Mountain. But in many ways, it's an easier way to come back, Greg, because there's no pressure on you. He comes back in a grade race, and off a 20-metre handicap, he's got to chase, he's got to hurt himself a little bit, and you've got to put him in the race because it'll be $1.60 or something silly. This week, Greg, I think Muscle Mountain takes all the money. No one cares if you hand up or if you take a shortcut home, because they're expecting that Fresh Up. So while I feel for these young horses having to take on these older horses immediately, Greg, in many ways it takes a little bit of the pressure off in my mind.
Yep, it does that. The other feature race at Addington Raceway on Friday night features a last start Addington winner in Above and Beyond. He'll be hard to beat. It's only a small field, 6 going to the post. They had to change the conditions of this race. That was him getting up on the inside of One Change, who we now know has gone a great race in the Invercargill Cup. So he'll be hard to beat Above and Beyond. He's only off the 10 metres. DiCaprio Cranbourne off 25 and Classy Brigade off 35. So not the easiest race for Above and Beyond, but I expect the way he went last time and the fact he's got a decent start over his stablemate will make him hard to beat there. It is Waitangi weekend, as we know, so it's Amberley Cup Day on Monday, and that will be closed to the public, that race meeting, but keep an eye out on HRNZ for all the details around that. Let's have a look at Lulu Lemon winning on Sunday at Methven. I understand she's racing in foal. She was simply too good on this occasion. She gets into this race on Sunday nicely. Her stablemate Kiss the Girls there, and then you've got the done runners, the likes of Dashing Major, Got You Covered, A Better Act, and Sam's Town. So a deep race there on Monday to complete what is a really busy racing weekend. Short break coming up for us here on Your Box Seat. Still plenty of stuff to come, including heading across the Tasman. Massive harness racing coming up this weekend, and we'll be there with Garrards. Welcome back into Your Box Seat with Garrards. Let's head across the Tasman. Young Carter Dalgetty, well, he got an opportunity to have a drive last Tuesday, Michael. The first 2 took no part. Affairs de Cover and Happy Publicans, but with Lilies, he grabbed his first win. That was a pretty cool moment.
He sure did. This is Carter last Tuesday, as you mentioned. It's a Tuesday afternoon meeting, pretty relaxed type of stuff, and he's made a good impression on the right people in Sydney. Gets up with Lilies here, those colours of course, well known, Mick Harvey's colours. They've been on New Zealand horses in the past, and Mick entrusted him with his drive, got the job done, and Carter, of course, looking after Krug and Just Remember Me, who he drove also this Tuesday afternoon. So the Tuesday afternoon just gone, it had a spin against the older horses at Harold Park, at Menangle as well. So Krug and Just Remember Me entrusted to him. 2 wins on Saturday night, rocks up Tuesday, Greg, and drives a winner. So he's having a whale of a time over there. But on the radio and all the media over there, he's handling himself well, Greg. He's acting like a young man who wants to make a fist of this, and of course, also a young man who has his own clothing line, which he mentions every time you interview him on the radio.
Yes, he does that. He's pretty smart in that regard. Jack Trainer trained that winner of course. What about Krug this week in the Hondo Grattan? You know the form better than I around Menangle, but he looks to have the wood on most of them.
By a long way. So he's coming out of an open class race, Krug, where he sat parked and won in 1:49.9 last time. This is the Hondo Grattan, the first of the qualifying races for the Chariots of Fire. That's on February 19th. They have qualifier this week, qualifier next week, and you go if you run in the top half of the field. Well, he will, Greg, because he sat parked last time in 1:49.9. He goes back probably about 3 lengths on the form for this race. It's not a strong race at all, and traditionally that happens with the first heat of the Chariots of Fire, or first prelude, because some of the other horses go to Melbourne for the Bonanza, or none of the Melbourne horses come to Menangle. Greg, he's found himself in the right race. In fact, if he doesn't win this, he won't be winning the Chariots of Fire. He's got a bad barrier 12, but that becomes 10. It doesn't really matter. He'll just go forward. I think the respect he would have got, Gregory, winning fresh up, he may well get the lead if Jack Trainer pushes the button here. Now, Jack has taken Chevron Art, the former New Zealander who is in his own team, and transferred it to Jason Grimson so he can drive Krug. And Krug, unless something goes wrong, Greg, he'll be winning here, and he will maintain his favouritism for that Chariots of Fire, because it's a lot easier to win the Chariots of Fire, Greg, if you're in the race after the first week than having to race next week and then into the Chariots of Fire. Expensive Ego did that last year, but you need to be pretty darn good to pull that off.
Yeah, included on Saturday night will be the features out of Melton. So let's get into the $500,000 Hunter Cup and the performance of a couple of horses from last week. Let's have a look at 888 and what ended up being a controversial Casey Classic. That's Expensive Ego on the inside in the hands of Chris Alford. He gets to the line first, Michael, but just about there where he had to ease off his wheel. 888, I think the stewards had the head on and went, I reckon he might have got up. I'm not so convinced, but they made the decision on the night and that's what they came up with.
I think it was the incident at the top of the straight, Greg, about 100 metres further back, where they actually did lock wheels, and they locked wheels quite hard, but he did have the whole straight to get past him. It's hard without all the stewards' knowledge and all the stewards' vision and what everybody had to say to make the call, but initially I'm with you. I don't think they probably should have turned it around. Now, the major news coming out of the Hunter Cup is that Expensive Ego, who won that race and lost it in the inquiry room for the second time in 3 starts, that doesn't happen very often, is out of the Hunter Cup. So he was pulled out Tuesday afternoon. They worked him Tuesday morning. Heart rate didn't recover well, usually a sign there's a virus or something's not right with the horse. So he'll head home to Sydney and get ready for the Miracle Mile. Sounds bad for Team McCarthy, but of course they have King of Swing, drawn barrier 1, and Spirit of St. Louis, or Louis, depending on how you like to say it, drawn middle of the pack. Here's the King last week. He burnt relatively hard, not too bad, over the opening 400 of this 2,300 metres. Horses in behind him, Zeus Bromack, who we know well here, runs into second. He'll need to go better than this, Gregory, to win the Hunter Cup. Now, he's drawn barrier 1 and he will lead for fun. So then it's a question of what Luke will be thinking. Now, originally, he might have thought we hand up to Expensive Ego because Amazing Dream is drawn straight behind King of Swing. And that would put her 3 deep, give him the passing lane. Maybe he beats Expensive Ego at the passing lane. No Expensive Ego anymore. He's gone. So then there's only one horse you could possibly hand up to, you would think, would be Lochinvar Art. But do you really want to be giving Lochinvar Art an uncontested lead? So I think Expensive Ego coming out of the race has tied Luke's hands here, Greg. I think he has to lead. Lochinvar Art has to attack at some stage. And then the question is, does Amazing Dream for the 3rd time in 8 months in a Group 1 get the trail, get the passing lane and get the chocolates? Yep. So it's a fascinating race. There's plenty of other depths to the race. Spirit of St. Louis has been absolutely flying. And he'll be in the middle of the pack, but maybe the best case scenario with him is he pops off, goes as forward as he can get, sits there and waits for Lochinvar. But yeah, I think the big guns will be at the top end of the field, Greg. That pitch triple weight, maybe three back on the outside. In these big races, Greg, I only ever want to tip the horse on the marker pegs.
Yep.
So you can make a case, you could back King of Swing and cover on Amazing Dream. I don't want to back things off the marker pegs. If they come and beat them, which is Spirit of St. Louis, Lochinvar, who might be the best horse in the race, or even Triple Weight, who's probably in career best form, well, good luck to them, because they'll be running around past two horses who probably between them, King of Swing and Amazing Dream, Greg, they've probably won 20 or 25 Group 1s. I would have won a lot of Group 1s.
Yep.
And if you can run past both them when they're on the marker pegs 3 times around Melton, well, good luck to you.
Two of the other features there, the Bonanza and the Ladyship. Spellbound's drawn barrier 1 in the Ladyship. What about the Bonanza this year, Michael?
I haven't delved into it enough, Greg, to have a real opinion on the Bonanza. It's a race I like, but it's a race where I'm still not sure what to make of last year's 3-year-old form from Victoria. I don't think it was as deep as people thought it was. The Ladyship, Spellbound I like. I think she finds herself in the perfect type of race. Obviously they could have gone there with Amazing Dream, and then she has the option to rock up to Sydney as well to contest the Ladyship Mile to try and to take on Stylish Memphis there. So Great Southern Stars, the other big race, Greg, and I don't have a lot of an opinion on that because we don't know what they're going to draw in the final. So we've got the heat draws, and Tornado Valley, who won it last year, has got barrier 1, and that's all cool. Sounds great. Majestuoso's got a frontline draw. That sounds cool. But the final's the only one that matters, Greg, and we don't know what they're going to draw in the final. So I don't know what to make of it as a series. Majestuoso probably is my top tip, Greg. He is winning last week. He was attacked early over the first 600 by Temporale, who you're just seeing dropping out of the picture in the Wallace colours. So he overraced Temporale, willing to forgive on him. Majestuoso's a horse we know well. He's very fast, and he probably finds himself in a series, Greg, where Maori Law is out. Temporale was only okay last week, or worse than okay. And there's not great depth. There's not many newcomers coming through. One of them is this horse. Here's Vacation Hill, formerly trained by Kevin Townley. Having her second run in Victoria, and you can see here Kate's just trying to keep her going, keep her mind on the job because she's so far in front of these horses. There'll be better horses than this for her to race this week. She is a factor in the final, Greg, if she gets there, but she's got to run top 3 or one of the fastest 2 losers to get there, Greg, and then again, you're talking barrier draws. It's a tricky thing to predict the Great Southern Star winner, Greg, because we don't know what the final field looks like. So I'm not going to try on that. Happy to be backing Lead Trail in the Hunter Cup. Happy to be backing Spellbound in the Mile. Bonanza, haven't done enough form on it yet. So we will get to that later in the week, and we'll be talking about it all on SENZ Radio on Sunday, what does happen. But the big news so far, Gregory, and maybe the race-changing news, is that Expensive Ego came out on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, that is rather big news. So we've got Majestic Man drawn to the back row in the second heat, and Vacation Hill, if you like, still owned by Nick James, so still connections there of interest, 3 the back row. So top 3 and then fastest 2. Yeah, it's not going to be easy for them, is it?
No, it's not. And then you're going to say to yourself, do we move and just try and go really slow outside the leader, or do we not move and try and sneak into third? It's a tricky race. I think of all the things the Australians do, it's the race series that doesn't suit many New Zealand horses. It suits some.
Right.
I think it would have suited Majestic Man 2 years ago. He's probably past his best now. Sunday Sun would probably get away with it, but there's not many New Zealand horses, Greg, who are better backing up back weekend, 2 starts in one day, over a sprint, 2 starts in one night, over a sprint distance. So I'll be watching it. I'll enjoy it, but I think for most New Zealanders, Greg, it won't mean as much as if one of the big 3 from here had been in the series.
Yeah, of course, that's Friday night and then into Saturday night. Important meetings, both of those, Melton and Menangle. Cash and Flow got another win the other night. I think it was about 135 or 36 in his career, so he's doing one heck of a job. Short break for us. When we come back, we're building towards the New Zealand Bloodstock sales, and this week we're going to profile not only some of the Brecon stars that are headed that way, but also we got some photos via the Michael Guerin Send Them In To Me. Welcome back into your box seat in our home straight. We are. Let's go to the New Zealand Bloodstock Sales, Brecon Farms. They have a consignment of about 35 horses, 8 of which are trotters. And Ken, Karen and the team have put together this package for us of some of their stars. This one by Tactical Landing out of Classic Armbro. It's lot 41. This is a half to Tailored Elegance, who was 2-year-old filly of the year, Michael. Icy Fire, who's won half a dozen races. And as it's the only colt by Tactical Landing in the sale, will be pretty sought after.
Saw him race, Greg, when I was in the US. Tactical Landing. Gee, he was a good horse. Really good horse. Won the Breeders' Crown up there, and it was very prominent in the Hambo. This is the sort of blood you need coming into the country. Obviously, both Tailored Elegance and Icy Fire by Muscle Hill. Well, he's obviously the sire of Tactical Landing, so that's world-class trotting blood you're getting there.
Lot 66 is the Bay Colt by Bettor's Delight at a double twist. She won 3 races herself, Michael, but we know this family so well. The Twist and Twirl, King of Swing, the 2-time Miracle Mile winner, and a great chance this week in the Hunter Cup to make that 2 as well. Better Twist. Feels Like Magic won about 13 races in MacDan. They're all in the family.
Well, the 2 hottest families in harness racing is the Adore Me family. We see that get upgraded every year, and obviously this family. All of a sudden you've got King of Swing, who's just been crowned again Australian Horse of the Year, and Better Twist, who's our best mare. So you've got those 2 in this mare's bloodline up close with Bettor's Delight. So again, that's about as good as it gets in this part of the world, Gregory.
Art Major out of Hot Hooves, the Bay Colts, lot 87. Again, a family we know well, Michael. It's a half to Hot and Treacherous, who I think is one of the most progressive in the country and has already been Group 1 place, and Hot Footed, who's won about 10 races in WA. So this colt, he'll be pretty well liked as well.
Fast horses. Cincinnati Kids in the family. He was a very fast horse. The Orange Agent is in the family. Again, a very fast horse. And you're right, Captain Treacherous is a New Zealand Cup horse. So by the time this horse gets to the races in about a year's time, Greg, his half is going to be one of our open class stars, if in fact he's not already there, Hot and Treacherous. So, yep, being an Art Major, he'll stand up nice and big and strong and look the part.
If you're thinking about getting into breeding, this might be your go. Lot 97's a Father Patrick out of Luby Lou, a filly. She won 4 of 5, including the New Zealand Trotting Derby. The sister is Tickle Me Pink, who won 9 races, including the Jewels. Gee, this is a deep American family. And if you get into this one, Michael, you are set breeding-wise.
I'm sort of half surprised they're selling this one, Greg.
Me
I really
too.
am, because it's about that top end of the New Zealand trotting blood sort of area where you get into Tickle Me Pink, and Luby Lou was a really good horse, and again she's a Muscle Hill. So you're talking about close-up American bloodlines. I know they like to sell their horses, but I wouldn't be surprised if she had a big hefty price tag on her. So you're right, if you're looking to breed trotters, you can do a lot worse than trying to purchase a horse like her, if in fact you can get a Gregory.
Lot 108's a Bettor's Delight out of the 2-time Group 1 winner and only for you, a brown colt, the Harness Jewels, and of course the sires she won. And of course her daughter, one of her first foals, a Better You, also won a Harness Jewels on a roll, who did such a good job winning 4 races for Jeremy Young. So this is a good family as well.
Yeah, Bettor's across an Art Major, so that gives it a little bit more size, as you can see in that footage there. And once you start talking foals to horses who won the Jewels last year, that's about as relevant or as modern as the bloodlines get.
Here's another Jewels winner at just her second start. This one a Bay Colt, Art Major out of Party On. This is the family of Lineup and Life's a Beach, but when you think about Party On, she won that Jewels, she won the Northern Oaks, Queen of Hearts. This is her first foal, so this colt might go near close to the top.
When you see that group of horses put together, and I spoke to somebody last week who knows about these things, somebody who's at the top of the tree, and they said this is the best Brecon draft they've seen. You can see why, Greg. Ken and Karen had to make some tough decisions and get rid of some mares who were good enough about 5 years ago, and they've invested in some other very good mares. They've had a lot of luck on the racetrack since, but this is a staggeringly deep draft when we just randomly came across Party On's first foal.
Lot 114 completes the ones we're looking at by What the Hill out of Regal Love. She was Group 1 placed in New Zealand and Australia in a Breeders' Crown final. Half-sister 2010, Highgate, Alana Hall. A lot to like about this filly, and again, another one if you want to get into the breeding side of things.
Yeah, I tried to buy into this family a couple of years ago, Greg, and missed out. I missed a filly similar to this. We saw the What the Hills last year and we loved them. They're very athletic-looking trotters, and sometimes when you go two sides back, Muscle Yankees yearlings looked a bit like coat hangers. They were all over the place with lots of angles. Muscle Hill leaves a better type of stock. And What the Hill's refining that again, Greg, from what we saw last year. I haven't seen hundreds of them, but I've seen dozens of them. And when you put that across a Love You, which again you can get those quite tall, big, angular type horses, it seems to work. It could be a cross that really works for him heading forward, What the Hill. So I like everything about this family. So I'm not trying to give people the rah-rah speech, Greg, on the Breckens draft. It's not about that, because lots of other people work just as hard with their drafts. I just think after learning for a long time and then being brave enough to cull some mares, I think Ken and Karen have actually got this where they need it to be not just a huge force at the sales, Greg, but to be, if not the biggest force, alongside Woodlands, the biggest force in Australasia at the sales. As I said, the best judge in the country last week said to me this is the best Brecken draft he's seen.
All right, that's great insight there, and big thank you to Ken and Karen for delivering us the footage there. Last week Michael asked for a few photos, if you had any you wanted to send in of your yearlings, and we've just got a selection here of those. Here's the first of them, who combines a Cooter and Franco Indy, if you like. This one's a half to a Cooter by Franco Indy's dad in Always Be Mickey. So beautiful she is. And
is that a Renwick Farms, Gregory?
It is, Renwick Farms, been put together by Ashley Stewart, and that one there will be absolutely sought after, I am sure. It's lot 229, so in the South Island sale. And Katie Cox has sent in a couple of photos for us. The first of those is lot 209 by Lazarus. This one out of That's Hunting Pink. It's a filly. That's Hunting Pink had won 5 races. It's the family of That's Alexander Guy and Tidal Franco, who won about 9 or 10 races. So lot 209. The Lazarus one there, and lot 360s, an Art Major, Michael, out of Miss Elsie, who won 7 races, and of course left the Northern Derby winner in Rakapuka Ruler. So yeah, a couple of decent sort of types that Katie Cox is putting together, and she's doing a great job with her own team too. So nice work by her sending us through that information around, and the photos around those two. And of course the Renwick Farms Star 2. So,
well, she can prep a horse, Greg.
She can.
I have never seen her yearlings before, because I haven't been to the south for a couple of years for the sales. It's hard to get around the country these days.
Isn't it?
That lot 209, that's Lazarus out of a Christian Cullen mare. So that's the Betters Delight Christian Cullen Cross, just taken one step further. So that's the Golden Cross, and you would think of all the mares you can cross Lazarus with, you would think obviously Art Majors are going to work for him as well. But Lazarus was such a good horse and such a strong horse that Christian Cullen infusion for lot 209, and plenty of others, there'll be lots more of them floating around, Gregory, in coming years, that's going to work.
Yep, it is. The Canterbury going around the stables this week, tour it's called, has been conducted. I understand the Southern Red one has been cancelled just due to COVID and the difficulties around that, so totally understand that. But all I can say to all the preparers is all the best over the next week or 10 days. It's been a good challenge for all of you, I'm sure, but we wish you all the best building towards New Zealand Bloodstock sale. Winners and losers from last week, we've got these for you now. Hey Bartender, I'm pretty sure there's one closely related to that in the sales. $5,000.75 is now 1 from 1, winning fresh up. Regular Tie got heavily backed into $2.40, a $10,000 bet there, and Artie's Express won the Lather Up feature there at Methven, 7.5 at $1.45. Couple going west there, including one at Methven, 16,500 in race number 4 on With Grace, who'd only won 1 from 32, so that was certainly a gutsy play there. So the TAB hits and misses from last week, courtesy of Matt Peden. All right, where do we head around this harness racing nation? Well, the map for you includes this Winton Thursday. They kick off about 9 minutes past 2, an 8-race program there on the meeting code of 7. Alexandra Park, 5:46. The 9 races there, the 8 going to the post in that feature pref draw race. Stratford, 12:50 the start time there. It's a big weekend of harness racing for the Hara Club. I think they've actually got 11 races and they go about 14 minutes past 12 now. Addington, they have a good program there on Friday night. Sunday it's Hara Cup. Taranaki is in between those 2 days, so Kerry Wells is going to be busy. They may even end up with 12 races there on Sunday, and Wyndham have the Ladyship final, and they have 9 races. So the race meeting there. And of course, Monday, it's Amberley Cup day there. They'll probably have 12 races, talking to Brian Rabbit. So big nominations once again for the Amberley Cup. So looking forward to all of those coming to you. It's also the start of Team Teal, and the team at HRNZ have put this together to remind you of how important it is.
It's time to take the reins.
To harness the power of hope,
The strength of survivors.
and teal up the track.
in 2022.
The team of 5 million.
Would like to ask you all,
Join Team Teal.
We're driving to help
women with ovarian cancer,
Raising awareness. Funds for research.
make for a brighter tomorrow.
Take some time to learn the symptoms. To know your body.
and to get behind this worthy cause. Stand tall, New Zealand.
Kia kaha Aotearoa.
It's time to get real. Support Teal.
It's become a big part of harness racing this time of the year, both sides of the Tasman, Michael. So we'll have plenty of more information. All the information, again, will be at the HRNZ website. But it is a great cause, and one that has profiled the harness racing scene in a pretty good light over the last few years.
Well, it's important for racing to be part of the community, Greg. You know, to feel your social licence. It's important to look after the people in the community. Ovarian cancer is not something I'd thought about 5 years ago, because while I've got 7 sisters and had a mother and have plenty of female friends, it was not something I thought about, or most of the people watching this show who are male would never thought about. So, Greg, if it helps raise awareness, raises some money, and has one person out there identify their symptoms earlier, as we know that's the most crucial thing with any form of cancer, then it's a great thing. If it does more than that, Greg, then it's a very worthy cause for us all. As you said, all the information is on hrnz.co.nz.
Michael, last week we both managed to get a winner. I think it's about the second or third time.
Was it Christmas, Greg?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is since Christmas.
You know why it's harder, Greg?
Yep.
It's harder because our fields come out so late.
Yeah, they do.
We had Alexandra Park come out Tuesday for Thursday, and there's not a person on God's earth could convince me that that's a good idea. Yep. Now, I know it was Auckland anniversary yesterday. I was here. I was driving around watching people anniversarying when I was going to work. But it's useless coming out 2 days before the fields. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's something we don't get right. And until we as an industry get it right, Greg, we're going to keep shooting ourselves in the foot with it.
I know they've tried a bureau a couple of times, Michael, and they end up getting shut down. But
it's a long conversation. But there's the clubs in this country, not one club in particular, not you or you buggers there and you don't pay attention. All of them, just stop taking your own.
Well, they did in Australia. The states of Australia, don't they? They do.
If you tell people this, Greg, if you tell people this in Australia, they think you're mad, and you don't need to. We don't need to do it anymore. We just don't need. It just holds up the whole machinery of it. But we have open club. Maybe the best horse in the country, best pacer in the country is racing this week, and no one's going to know about it probably till Wednesday night, Thursday, because the fields aren't out, Greg. It doesn't make any sense. And until we get a central bureau where, and I don't want anybody to lose their job. I don't want anybody to lose. I want people to do other things with their job or go work for the central bureau. But having fields open, and no other code in this country, unless you have a 2-day meeting, and no other code of the equine codes, do you have race meetings open 2 days before the races?
Unless they're a 2-day meeting. But anyway, let's put that to the side. Rakiro Racing, they sponsor the best bets. Mickey Montana and Oneida Mickey were our winners last week. So
go
we're
the Mickeys.
Mickey fans.
Go the
Mickeys. What about this week? Alexandra Park for you?
There's a 2-year-old racing this week called Merlin. He's not going to pay much, but he is as good an early season 2-year-old. I'm not saying he's going to be a champion 2-year-old, but he's as good an early season 2-year-old as I've seen trialling at Pukekohe for a long time.
Okay,
He's
beautiful.
He's a good horse.
We'll go with that. He's a Jackalack for me in race 8 at Addington Raceway. Very unlucky last time. And Gloraphilia is racing on Thursday. That's Jason Broad's tip there. Michael, really appreciate your input. Thanks so much for that tonight, and looking forward to the Yearling sales build-up and, of course, the big new meeting, the Harness Millions meeting next Saturday.
Well, Greg, people still have a chance. The preview show next week, we're going to talk about the sales and give you some real stuff on what we actually think is going to happen. But if you want to be involved, you've got a picture of your Yearling, send it in to us. If you don't send it, we can't show it. Exciting week coming up next week, Greg, on the box seat.
Certainly is. We'll review everything we've talked about tonight and see you in 7 days' time.